Well, thanks for staying with us. You're watching The World is One News. My name is Mohammed Saleh, and let's start with some breaking inputs which have just come in, where Donald Trump has accused the past presidents of in fact pursuing a foolish policy. Now, Donald Trump has just now tweeted that the relationship between the United States and Russia has never been worse because of the stupidity of the United States. This is a tweet that's in fact been put out by Donald Trump. Now, Trump's mood ahead of the meet with President Putin of Russia is sure to make the US allies extremely nervous, especially the European Union of the United States. All right, so this is a bit of a breaking input which is just coming in, where Donald Trump has in fact accused the past presidents of having pursued a pretty foolish policy. Now, Trump has just now tweeted that the relationship between the United States and Russia has never been worse because of the stupidity of the United States. It is an interesting sort of a statement to have made by Donald Trump, who has just landed in Helsinki for a summit meeting with Vladimir Putin of Russia. Now, this will of course be the first summit meeting between the two leaders. The meeting in Helsinki, which is considered a neutral ground for a US president and also for the Russian leader to meet. And considering the manner in which Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump have shown to interact with each other, making fairly positive comments, this is something that's gone against the very grain in the manner in which diplomacy has been conducted by the United States in the past, where in the aftermath of the Second World War, the United States and the then Soviet Union had been seen as natural adversaries. However, Donald Trump intends to change that. He has said that a good friendship and a good relationship with Russia for the United States is something that is going to be beneficial for both these nations. And it will be very interesting to see as to what in fact happens in this summit that will take place in Helsinki. And for more on this, we are joined in by Lucy Taylor, who's joining us from Moscow. Well, Lucy, it's an interesting sort of a tweet that's been put out by Donald Trump, where he's accused the past presidents of the United States for what he has dubbed as the stupidity of the past US presidents, which has led to the present diplomacy between the two nations.
Yeah, interesting, and that really highlights why this meeting has got so much attention between President Trump and President Putin. It's also been said on the Russian side, not blaming past presidencies, but on the Russian side, senior politicians have told me that they have concerns about the relationship between the US and Russia, that they have felt for in recent years that the relationship is deteriorating or breaking down. There hasn't been as much contact between the two sides. And they say that's why they're keen, Putin and Trump, to have this meeting today to re-establish contact. Everybody seems to have fairly low expectations, or at least they're playing this down. But so they don't expect necessarily big decisions or statements or big changes to come out of this meeting, but it's about restarting the relationship.
All right, and also considering the fact that there is no set agenda for this meeting, so it's not very clear as to what will in fact be discussed between the two leaders. But there are a whole host of contentious issues, especially with the indictment of as many as about 12 Russian officials in the hacking scandal pertaining to the US presidential elections. Is that an issue at all which President Trump is likely to bring up with President Putin?
Yes, I think he probably has to, because of the pressure on him from home. I mean, when that information came out on Friday that the US was indicting 12 individuals, which it says are Russian intelligence officials, with election interference, this was the most detailed allegation we've had so far from the Russian side, and it comes closer than ever to the Russian government. So I think if he wasn't going to mention it before, he probably has to now. Some on his own side and in his opposition in America, we're even talking about cancelling this summit because of the gravity of those allegations. So I think he will have to raise it. However, he has always made clear that he does not really support that investigation. He calls it a witch hunt. So how strongly he'll put that remains to be seen, and we may never know, of course, because these two leaders, first of all, they're having a private meeting with just the two of them and their translators, So although they'll tell us afterwards what was said, we may never know exactly the terms in which that conversation is had. Of course, Russia and Mr. Putin will deny that they have ever had anything to do with election interference. And I spoke to a senior politician this week who told me that Mr. Putin would not take kindly to that being put in the form of a demand or an ultimatum or any kind of aggressive rhetoric. So I think Mr. Trump will have to choose his words carefully, but probably he would anyway, because, as I say, he doesn't really support this investigation.
Absolutely, indeed.